not a natural heavyweight. And you can say that's an advantage to Jake. He's going to be able to move around a little bit. Again, we'll talk about his feet in a second. But it's more to me the fact that what we're not seeing is the biggest weakness of Jake's, on top of the fact that he's gotten an eye smashed up in sparring. They said Frank Sanchez made his nose look like a crescent moon. We'll get to that in a second. Lawrence Okolie is giving him a freaking shiner in sparring. So again, you could say that's great work from Jake to be able to have these high-level guys come in, but you also have to admit that he's getting hit, and he's getting hit a lot by guys that aren't Anthony Joshua in terms of their skill and ability, or at least not at the highest level that AJ has been to. So.
But we brought in world champion heavyweight sparring partners, guys who are 270 pounds, 250 pounds. You know, sparring them, you know, it has been insane. I still got the remnants of
taking a little.
Reports suggest that Jake Paul was knocked out by a heavyweight sparring partner while preparing for his fight against Anthony Joshua. Jake recently appeared with a bruised and swollen eye, explaining that the injury happened during a sparring session with Lawrence Okolie. Joey Knight revealed that Jake Paul has been training with several elite heavyweights, including Lawrence Okolie, Frank Sanchez, and Jared Anderson. During these intense sessions, Paul showed visible signs of damage, highlighting how demanding the sparring has been. Knight described this stretch as the hardest week of Paul's training, noting that the size, power, and skill of his sparring partners caused noticeable injuries. The marks left after these workouts showed the real physical cost of preparing for a fighter at Anthony Joshua's level. According to Knight, even controlled sparring with
very humbling experience for Jake Paul. In fact, the past few weeks will have been eye-opening for Jake Paul. A past few weeks where he has sparred the likes of Lawrence Okolie, of Jared Anderson, and of Frank Sanchez as well. And being that I have seen Jake Paul go life and death with Tommy Fury, you can guarantee you that Okolie, that Anderson, and that Frank Sanchez,
top heavyweights, has pushed Paul far beyond anything he has faced before. Jake Paul's decision to spar with elite heavyweights has drawn serious attention from boxing analysts and fans. While Paul has built a reputation by taking on well-known opponents, his preparation for Anthony Joshua has exposed how difficult this challenge truly is. Training footage shows Paul dealing with extreme power, revealing weaknesses that were not visible in earlier fights. Boxing analyst Wade points out that these sparring sessions show a major vulnerability. Reports claim Paul was knocked out during practice, raising concerns about his ability to handle the raw strength of experienced heavyweights. This has led many to question whether Paul's confidence truly matches his readiness to face a former heavyweight champion like Joshua.
I think it could go, honestly speaking, if Jake can last 3 rounds, in a way he's kind of won a mental victory, because I'll be real, I think everybody's expecting AJ to come there and blast him out in 1 round. But I think a moral victory would be if Jake just lands 1 stun punch on him. That'd be good enough for him. But kudos to Jake Paul for even doing this, because honestly speaking, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, one of the greatest moments that I've witnessed in boxing history, and I know Jake Paul is obviously an influencer, and I'm a boxing fan. Like, I love boxing. So this is a bit weird to say that this is quite a huge moment, but just when he came out last year, and he came out with his brother, and he came out on a Low Rider, I got goosebumps, because in that moment I said to myself, how can anybody watch this and not feel like dreams can't come true? He must even surprise himself looking at that and thinking to himself, how on earth am I even here fighting Mike Tyson? And one more thing, even speaking of that, I give him a lot of respect for not knocking out Mike Tyson, because he could have. And so I respect him for that. So against AJ, and for AJ as well, like, AJ gets a lot of flack, but at the same time, I think AJ's he's like about 35, 36, 37 right now. He doesn't really have anything else to prove, right?
Footage from sparring sessions shows Paul repeatedly getting caught on the chin by heavyweight fighters, leaving visible marks and showing the heavy toll of this training. Working with fighters like Lawrence Okolie has exposed Paul to a level of power and intensity he has never experienced before. Observers say the mix of size, strength, and technical skill from these sparring partners is revealing clear limits in Paul's defense and durability. 3'6" feet, 4 inches, 65. Analyst Castillo speaks bluntly about the situation, saying that stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua will be extremely harsh for Paul. He believes that even with tough heavyweight sparring, Paul's chances of surviving Joshua's knockout power are very low. Castillo adds that if Paul manages to last even 3 rounds, it would already be considered
that end, but it's a very, very dangerous fight.
You actually just said that if the fight goes ahead, do you believe then that this fight won't go ahead? Because there's many people that do.
I mean, I think it goes ahead, but I mean, I don't know what Jake Paul is thinking, to be honest, because you're talking about someone that is 2 times heavyweight champion of the world. He's someone that actually have got a one-punch knockout power. He understands range, he understands positioning, he understands how to set you up. He's a bigger man, he's a stronger man. I don't know where, for me, yes, I'm thinking the worst, but I want to be positive, and I really hope that both of them goes home safe with plenty of money. But looking statistically and the professionalism of the sport, I don't see the fight going past 2 rounds.
Well, interestingly, when we're recording this show, it's been announced, and it'll come out, our show will come out afterwards, that Jake Paul was doing an announcement this afternoon at, I think, something like 2 o'clock our time. So who knows what that's likely to be. Interestingly, I spoke to Eddie Hearn when the fight was first announced to try and get the take of what this really was. And his belief, Eddie's belief, and whether you subscribe to Eddie's views on this, is that he genuinely believes that Jake Paul doesn't know what he's walking into, doesn't seem to have a regard for what he's walking into, is slightly deluded about it, thinks that Anthony's a bit chinny, and thinks he has a chance in this fight. Now, I don't know about you boys, but unless you've lived under a stone, you know that Anthony Joshua can punch. The only debate about Anthony Joshua is not the physicality of Anthony Joshua, it's the psychology of him. There's going to be no psychological damage to Anthony Joshua when he walks in against Jake Paul. This has jeopardy written all over.
an achievement. His message is clear. Training with heavyweights can help, but it cannot fully prepare someone for the constant pressure, precision, and power of a former world champion. The gap between influencer boxing and true elite heavyweight competition remains massive. David Hay offers insight into Paul's mindset, suggesting that Jake may believe the same tactics that worked in previous fights will work again. Hay explains that betting on Paul would require imagining unlikely outcomes, such as strange decisions that ignore clear skill differences. While sparring with heavyweights is a bold move, analysts warn it is also revealing. These sessions may improve endurance and toughness, but they also clearly show the difference between preparation and real competition. Once Paul faces Joshua in the ring, he will encounter challenges that no amount of sparring can truly replicate.
So it wouldn't at all surprise me if he's unable to win a world title because the opposition is good. But maybe if he boiled down to 147 again, he would have a better chance.
Last thing I want to ask you about, Barry, is the big news regarding Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul. One of the biggest quotes, 2 of the quotes that stuck out to me was that David Hayes said that fight could be Jake Paul's last day on earth. I think Gareth A. Davis has described it as a freak show. Some people are saying, AJ's grabbing the bag. There's nothing wrong with that because anybody else, if they got offered that kind of money, they would do it. So, and some people are suggesting he might damage his legacy. Where do you sit with the decision of him taking that fight? And it's a professional 8-round fight as well.
Yes, it's a highly dangerous fight for Jake Paul. I don't know what he's doing unless they have done some sort of caveat or some sort of agreement that he says he's going to go easy on him or he's not going to go flat out. But I've been tossing this up and down in my mind and trying to figure how under God when he had agreed to fight someone like Tank Davis, who is several divisions below him. That's more like what Jake Paul does, and then he goes from there to fighting Anthony Joshua. I mean, just look at what happened to Francis Ngannou, who's a big, athletic, tough guy and had gone 12 rounds with Tyson Fury and given him a real ding-dong, and then he gets absolutely obliterated in
boxing. He explains that confidence alone cannot overcome the physical and technical differences Paul will face against Joshua. Joshua's knockout power is real, and underestimating it could lead to immediate consequences. McGuigan's view reflects the broader opinion among experienced analysts. While Paul's rise is impressive in celebrity boxing, facing a true heavyweight champion is an entirely different challenge. That's it for today's video. Stay tuned for more. And don't forget to subscribe to Bloodline Boxing.